Hello there, this is Bitcoin Design Guide Jam session number 52. It's three of us right now. We'll see if anyone joins. Otherwise, we're going to have probably more of a hands-on working session on a few things. Maybe we can dive into some of the mini script stuff even. But for starters, I put together a new Google Doc. And considering that I create a new Google Doc for every single call we have, maybe it's nicer if we just have a running one that we just add on to every session. Um,
Mhm.
that's e-waste, I guess. Um, so yeah, I just called this one Jam Session Notes Volume 1. I put in the notes from last call as a reference and create a new one, and we can just keep adding to it. If it ever gets too big, we'll start Volume 2. Might be
Mhm.
easier,
Yeah,
just track things that way.
yeah, I think it's easier, and it's also nice. You can just toggle the
Yeah,
old ones so that they get out of the way.
yeah. Okay, cool. Let's start with, as we're supposed to, with our roadmap and our milestones. Roadmap looks like this. Milestone 19. What did we merge recently? There was something got merged.
Uh,
Closed.
wasn't it the guidelines
Oh, the wallet
case
selector
study?
case study. That's in. Haven't really gotten any feedback on that one, but that's live. This one here. What? Where is it? Oh yeah, it's not a case study anymore. This one here. Yeah, and then what we currently have going on. Oh yeah, this is an interesting one. Let's look at milestone 19. So provide design guidance for purchasing Bitcoin within the wallet. That's something that Steve asked, and there was some conversation around it. Yashrash chimed in. Stain chimed in. Is it assigned to anyone? Yeah, it was assigned to Stain. But since Stain is now busy with his new job, it's kind of up in the air again. So I'm
Hmm.
wondering if I should just, after my send fee stuff, I can just pick this one up, because it clearly, I mean, I don't know the details, but there were a lot of conversations, so maybe it's not too difficult to wrap it up. Maybe I'll just take this one on next. Otherwise, the information will just go stale.
What is a lot of chat here? Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea is that after you, whether it's for your initial deposit or elsewhere in your wallet, you can purchase some Bitcoin through some type of third-party service, whether it's P2P or an exchange. And then, of course, you have to, if it's P2P, you have unique interaction models, or if it's an exchange, you have to figure out which one is appropriate for you in your country, in your language, with your currency, with whatever
Hmm.
payment options you want to use. What are the fees involved? All of this stuff. Do you need KYC? All these things. So you kind of need to. We don't need to do the UI for the actual payment because that's usually done via the third party. Um, but how to lead people through that flow. I think that's what it would be about. Or
Trezor
stable
Suite has
sets,
something
stuff like
like
that.
that.
Sorry?
Trezor Suite has something like that where you can buy in app,
Mm.
either through I think Invity, which is um, um, an exchange basically,
Mm.
or I think peer-to-peer is also possible. But basically what you do, you select which option you want, and then they move you to whatever service they're using.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably just pass on some URL parameters, some deposit address, or something else. And I guess our question is, if we, since we always focus on non-custodial, do we also focus on non-KYC? do we try to really push the P2P option? That's something we can decide in this. Okay, but okay, how about topics and notes? Is that purchase Bitcoin issue Christoph to continue work? I'll just leave a note in here. No, I'll do that later. With some thoughts and what to do next. Then we have guidelines on how to contribute a case study to the BDG. Mo posted, she pushed something. I reviewed it today. It's just some minor stuff. If you also want to review it, there's a pull request up for it. I think it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I still have to figure out how to actually do reviews.
Yeah. Okay, we can take a look at it. Let me just hide myself. So you just go to Files Changed, or typically I pull up the preview and then I look through the preview just from to see what the end user sees, and then I will take some notes or I go back and forth as I find things. So you see all the images here. There's basically nothing you can do on those images. I think you can leave comments on files, but I usually don't do that. I just leave comments here on the left in the Markdown files. So here, for example, we use sentence case for everything. So I left a comment here that proposes a change, like don't capitalize the S, use a lowercase. And the way I do this is I'm just going to make something up here. Let's say, the parent is something else. So I press the little plus here. And then I can say, I can type something in, whatever I want. Or if I want to propose a different change to this, I press this, add a suggestion, and it inserts this. So I can also select the whole thing and insert it. And then let's say I contribute to the guide, just making something up. And then in the preview, it will show the original and my suggestion. And I can add some information in here too. And then I can either press add a single comment and it will post it right away, or I can start a review. And start a review is very helpful because it allows for batching. So if I press add single comment, it saves it, it sends an email to Mo. And if I do that I left 26 comments earlier, she would have 26 emails in here.
Yeah.
So I start a review. And the other benefit is I can batch, and then let's say I start a review here. And then here at the top corner, it says finish your review. Let me add another fake change here. Let's do something here. Blah, blah, blah. And then it says add review comment. So far, it's just saved on my computer. It's not saved anywhere else. And then in the top right corner, I press finish review. I can leave an overall comment to my whole review. I can say, this is amazing, awesome work. I just had some comments around this and that, blah, blah. And I can say that this is just general comments. I can approve the pull request, or I can request changes. And if I request changes, this cannot be merged. No matter if other people approve it, it will be blocked until the changes that I've requested have been either dismissed or accepted or resolved in some way or another. And that's kind of it. And now I need to figure out how I can ditch my review here. Okay. Delete this one here.
Can't you, in the top right, with this drop-down button there, can't you just... I know you can't.
No other option. I'm sure it's possible somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah, and then it's all these comments, they also show up here in the main, in the conversations tab, and then Mo has different options. She can say commit, like she can say approve or just accept this suggestion, or reject it, or she can reply to it. And then she can also add suggestion to a batch if she, same thing, if she just wants to accept, like what I usually do is, some people also have like 20, 30 comments on my stuff. I just go accept, add to batch, add to batch, add to batch. Then I press okay, accept all of them at once. So
Okay.
it really helps prevent email spam. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. But I would really recommend also relying on the preview, pulling it up on mobile, on desktop, ideally Retina and non-Retina, and also running it locally to see what happens. Just to thoroughly test it, but you don't have to.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, that was helpful.
Awesome. It takes a bit to get used to, but that's the stuff that we don't have in Figma, for example, or any design tool. I cannot, if you make changes, I cannot see what they were, look at them individually, comment on them, and then you can say, yeah, okay, I agree, just merge it in or reject it. It's just not possible.
Yeah, they have it in these enterprise plans.
Yeah.
When I was at Broadcom, we had the enterprise plan, and there you can, when you work on a design system, you can actually have these workflows.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to pay a hefty price for it.
Yeah. Did it actually work very well? Was it a good solution?
I just came out at the time, and it's like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and it worked pretty well, but it worked. It didn't work on a component level, only on a page level, which was pretty annoying, and that's why we didn't really use it.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was. But I think now it's probably much more robust.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hope we get it at some point. Be nice, but we'll see.
I think in the new dev mode they also have this if view, but yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing any Figma stuff in the last 2-3 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't really know. I just started with the complex spending conditions
Yeah.
things.
Okay, well, let's wrap this up real quick. If you review that one, I think Mo would be pretty happy about it too. That'd be cool. Explore and document how to handle send fees. I did put that PR live, so that's also ready for review. Yeah, it's pretty intricate is the right term, I think. There's just a lot to fees. But hopefully this moves us forward a little bit. So reviews there would be appreciated as well. Do you want to talk about it at all, or?
I haven't read it, to be honest,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure if it makes sense to go through it if it's that much. I mean, it seems to be pretty extensive.
Yeah, I still feel like it's very hard to figure out if you actually got all the details right because it's so intricate. And then I created this pull request, and then Phoenix comes out with all these
Yeah,
changes to their fee
with
stuff.
this with the splicing thing.
Yeah, but I think this is a good step forward, and then we can always keep refining. Yeah, but I think that would be nice if we can just finish up this milestone. These milestones become pretty meaningless. We've added stuff there months ago. I don't know. It's not that useful to have these open-ended milestones. But we can change that. And yeah, what else? Oh, code resources. That's a good one. It's a conversation about adding code library sister projects to the guide. So last week I tried it. I downloaded the code for BDG and ETA Wallet and tried to get them to run. I failed with ETA Wallet. I need to ask. I'm talking to Colin about it. Something with my Ruby installation. But BDG Wallet was download, open in Xcode, press a button, it worked. It was very, very smooth. So that was nice. So yeah, but I think it'll be really cool to have maybe someday the official reference, the best. I mean, that would be amazing. It's like Bitcoin Core GUI is the reference UI for on-chain. Maybe this Bitcoin Design Community wallet can be the reference design for truly open source communal reference design, whatever, for Lightning. That'd be cool. But we'll see. And sorry.
Okay, I was just reading through the issue there with the resource page. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's something similar like the page with the projects page, right? Or the collaborate. Yeah. Well, yeah, not entirely, because they have the kind of these collaborations.
Yeah.
But having something that's built on the UI kit is not an actual collaboration. It's somebody who's taken the community resources as the starting or reference point for their project.
Yeah, that's the difference between community resources. Like Colin, he said he works on this, but he really would like community ownership. So it kind of belongs to everyone in a way. While collaborations are when there's a project with specific people that really usually have nothing to do with the community, but they're in the broader Bitcoin ecosystem, that they show up and they want to collaborate with designers some way. They might say, our branding sucks, or we'd like a design system, or looking for a design, or something like that. But the project itself is not really something that is born out of the community, I guess, or it's just freely available to everyone. I mean, all these open source projects are freely available to everyone, but I don't know. It's a little bit tricky, but that's how I look at things. Yeah, it's a little bit intimidating to take on these projects into the community, because that means someone will have to. Well, first of all, it's a design community, not a developer traditionally.
Yeah.
And then you do want to make sure that they also get maintained and continued.
Yeah, you have to dedicate or commit to kind of, at least for a reasonable or meaningful amount of time, to basically work on the thing.
Yeah. Can't just say like, "Hey, here, community, here's my project. See ya."
Well, you can try.
You do it. Yeah. So that's a cool one. I also want to help out with that one a little bit. Daniel's currently leading this one. Okay, and that's contrast PR. That's kind of a technical one. That's about adding the CSS, picking up the accessibility setting where the user can say that they prefer more contrast in their whole digital experience, which is an operating system level setting, and that gets passed into websites. So websites can pick that up via a media query and then can make any styling adjustments that they want. So in this case, I implemented that. And so if someone says they want more contrast, it changes the color of text and links and buttons to make them, well, have more contrast between foreground and background. So that's it. And the background of this issue is actually very long and complicated. because there were all kinds of discussions around colors and contrast and accessibility and color systems and all kinds of stuff. So yeah.
Now I see the difference in contrast. I was just looking at it, and I thought I don't see any difference, but I do. It's much darker, the orange,
Yeah.
and yeah.
It's subtle, but if it helps people, that'd be great. I mean, ideally we could have people where we can just that we know have those needs, and we could tell them, how's this? Good, bad? And then they can just say yay or nay, and we can tweak it. But kind of hard to find people with these specific needs. So anyway, I hope we can merge that one and put this really old discussion to rest. Let me see. Is there a link? Unresolved conversation from May of last year. Yeah. Okay, that's it. What do you have, Michael? Should we talk about what's it called?
Complex spending conditions.
Mini scripts and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, we can. My plan was actually to. Maybe I can just share my screen here. So I started this the how it works. I actually started with the how it works page because I kind of wanted to get to make sure that my understanding of the topic is correct, and kind of get it out for review later today or tomorrow morning. But we can discuss it. Let me share this link here. Chat. Here we go. And also share my screen probably. Oh, window. Here we go. Yeah. So what I started with, and I also started with Figma already. But yeah, let's go through the how it works first to make. What I wanted to make sure is that the understanding kind of is correct before we start, or before I start mocking things up further in Figma. And I kind of just was started writing out on Friday what I took away from the reading that I did and the call that we had with the guys from Liana. And so it would be great to get some feedback here. I'll post it in the Discord at the end of today to just make everybody aware that it's there, and there probably will be some mistakes or false understandings of it. But what I try to do is kind of explain what it is, give an intro, what can be done, and since it's a pretty complicated topic, I was trying to come up or have a couple of examples of what you can do with these types of wallets. Maybe 4 is too much, but the point was more of giving an idea of what's possible, and then following the kind of the pattern that we have on the how it works pages. Maybe give a walkthrough of what the high level steps are, and then get into more detail. But now when I was working on it today, it feels kind of redundant. So maybe these two approaches could be merged. I started with this section here that is more kind of prose uh, or just paragraph things, but I have the feeling I got a little bit lost. So I started just writing out bullet points so that it's easier to scan. Um, and maybe we can ditch one of the two to make because it's going to be a pretty long page anyway. So yeah, that's what I started there. Also started just putting together some pros and cons, do's and don'ts. Um, should probably also be there because you have to. Um, if I'm a developer and I want to create or give an experience for these kinds of wallets, I need to help people or users to consider to walk them through what they should be thinking about because you have to think about a lot of things ahead of time because you're basically encoding uh, your your goal into a piece of software. So you need to have a pretty good understanding what you need to do or what you want to do, and then you need to have all the keys ready or all the devices that you're going to be using. So there are quite a few prerequisites to having a good experience with this, and it's going to be a pretty long. It can be a pretty long process, right? So um, that's not really that fleshed out, but um, I think on this page we need to tell the developers as well that it's going to be a very involved and intense process for users, um, and yeah, I mean ideally you would have something like a playground um, where you can or a kind of a rule builder UI where you can test them out these things, but yeah, it's going to be tricky and people will need a lot of time probably while setting up these wallets. So, for instance, kind of a way to save your current configuration that you can come back to later
Yep.
might be very nice. So, all these kinds of things I'm just putting together, and yeah, I wanted to send it out on Discord later today, maybe tomorrow, earlier morning, but that's kind of the thing where I'm at.
Yeah, that's really good. Question. Can you pull up bitcoin.design, the website, and go to the how it works section? So we have private key management as a
Yeah.
subsection. And so this seems like it would come after multi-key. So it's like it's typically multi-key. Otherwise, there's no point. There are no complex spending conditions with one key, right? So it's like after multi-key, it's like one more level that gets added to it. And
Yeah.
it kind of uses all of the things that are above it in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I mean, there are use cases also for a single key. If you, let's say, if I'm on my own and I'm single, and I want to have the same level, or instead of having to create a multi-key wallet to kind of give myself um, some more kind of fault tolerance, I could just have a single key wallet and one or two recovery paths. Um, so you, but yeah, typically probably you would set it
Yeah.
up in a multi-key way.
Yeah, I guess the differentiator here is that's still multi-key because multiple keys exist. But I think the traditional multi-key that we think of is that it's multi-key in that they're all part of the same decision making, right? There's like one grouping, but with complex spending conditions, you have multiple groups of keys that can independently do things with different. So it's all kind of
Mhm.
multi-key in a way, but there is a yeah, the one is just multi groups. and the other one
Yeah,
a single group of keys in a way. So yeah,
yeah, and
somehow gonna have to clarify that. I think that might get confusing.
yeah, yeah, and it's. I mean, we're not gonna. I mean, I can use I can use a multi-sig wallet and be the only one
Yeah,
using it, or it can be like a really shared wallet with families.
yeah,
Um, I think the actual usage of the setup is very hard to predict.
yeah.
And so, yeah, you're probably right. We should probably just, pick one or two, and
But that's why
and
this is
work with
also
them.
a how it works, right? So it's and so I will. That's what would have been my next question about your document. It seems like the top half of the document is the how it works, and then at the bottom you're also getting into the how to design for it. So let's say pros and cons. Your pros and cons might actually differ based on what type of product you're
Yeah,
building.
yeah, true. That's a good point.
I mean, yeah, it just depends. Yeah, but that's probably a good way to think about it. So we just generally, so we're not describing Miniscript how it works. We're
Yeah,
describing these complex spending conditions. But if you don't want to describe Miniscript, you go to some other website like the
that was,
Minsk page. They have that covered very well, the technical side. We just explain what designers need to know and how to think about it, and then we end with the point where um, then that leads into designing two or three different product interfaces for it.
exactly. I would
Yeah,
probably at the end of the page, I would link to the reference designs,
yeah,
um, that we can decide which ones we take. And I think the security softening is a nice one, uh,
mm.
and the one where you really have a set of recovery keys.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely gonna probably gonna want to put in the inheritance one, which is about the main keys get lost and other people use the other keys. Then you have the maybe the single use of this with a softening backup. And then maybe the third use case is something around you could either do social recovery or you could do something like for merchants or a small business or something. So we cover kind of individual use. We cover the kind of family, which is like group of people that know and hopefully trust each other. And then maybe we cover some other pretty different scenarios. So that way we would have pretty it could really show the range of options. I don't know. I'm just making things up off the top of my head, but maybe something like that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So how would we would then have this how it works page, and for the reference designs,
Mm.
probably something like the kind of a high level, like the daily spending wallet with two or three sub use cases, or would you do it on one page?
So a lot of stuff in the daily spending wallet still applies, and if we have the savings wallet, a lot of stuff in there probably already applies that can be copied. So we just need to figure out what's unique about these flows and then just discuss those. So we don't have to repeat the send flow or maybe like here there's already a key replacement thing flow in there. Maybe we don't need to cover that in the other ones unless there's some real difference.
Mm,
Yeah, we should just try to not repeat if we don't really have to. Just figure out what's unique and then outline that.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly jump in, Christoph. Um, I'm not sure if it helps, but I was just thinking like um, this complex spending conditions sounds like it might also like have to like it sounds similar to like addresses, because addresses are also like spending conditions, right? And that is how these would also show up on like on the blockchain. So how much do you think is the private key management part, and how much of it is like the something that does not have to do with the private keys as such?
What do you mean by it being the same? I think it's very different. It's not just addresses.
It's basically you configure a wallet, or you create a wallet that has restrictions or conditions that users want to set up. So it's actually about the configuration of the wallet and not about the management of the individual keys.
Yeah, something like that. Because maybe I should take a look at what's in the private key management section again. But I mean, uh, like yeah, because when I set up this anything with like a complex spending condition, at least my intuition is that like when you set it up, that is an on-chain transaction, right? And whatever the complex spending conditions are, they are like somehow reflected in the address, which is
Okay.
just like a spending condition, right? I mean,
No,
if
that's
you're
not.
like okay,
No, it's the same with multisig. So you can generate this wallet without ever touching anything on chain. The only thing that happens on chain, the first thing that will ever happen on chain, is you receiving funds to an address in that wallet. But the configuration of that wallet happens just off chain altogether.
okay.
Yeah, it's. I also have the and we we went already a little bit back and forth about the kind of the naming
Yeah.
of that page. Um, and I still don't have I still don't have a good title for it. But it's, I mean, what's actually or at least I have the feeling what is actually the subject is kind of complex wallet configurations or
Actually,
yeah.
the one, as since you're talking about this might one approach could be to say this does not need a new page. This is simply part of multi-key.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a variation of multi-key that we haven't covered yet, where the like all those keys involved are not part of this one decision making condition, I guess, but you have multiple conditions and stuff happening. So it could be that, could be part of this. I don't know, but I think
Mm-hmm.
it probably makes the page too complex. But maybe
Mm-hmm.
it could be like a
And
sub thing of multi-key. A sub
yeah,
that would be really like 4 levels down. Would be a bit much. I don't know.
and then the reference design could be part of the existing pages. Um,
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? If we consider, let's say we don't want to touch the savings wallet, we'll just keep it as is. It'll be a personal use, 2 of 3, and that's it. And then upgradable wallet, we describe how someone would move from single sig to multi sig potentially. Then shared wallet, that shared wallet, maybe we change. So shared wallet is um, about multiple people
using the same, yeah.
using the same. I forgot the details. What it did, what was the decision there? Was it 2 of 2 or was it something else? Or 2 of 3
think
with a backup?
I think it was 2 of 3.
Yeah. So potentially we can pull in one of those use cases here, where maybe we make it a 2 of 2, and then there's a backup somewhere that's like a recovery path where after a year of inaction it becomes a 1 of 2, for example.
Hmm.
So we could update this one to include the mini script stuff. It could be an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this probably would be like an add-on to the existing flow. Hang on, if I share my Figma, that's so the idea that I had was basically follow the things that we have already, but then yeah, set up a multi-key wallet. Nothing new to see here. But when you get to basically you have your 3 keys set up after the initial setup. You could have just kind of an optional page where you say, do you want to kind of create a recovery path or not? If not, then you're done. If yes, then we start. Then basically this kind of module of let's say this miniscript module is triggered.
Yeah.
And I haven't really done too much here yet, except playing around with the wording again. And yeah, I also thought, yeah, having some kind of reminders that are kind of more push reminders and not only when I open the app would be nice, but I don't have an idea how that actually would work.
But can't we we can probably borrow there from, first of all, it looks really good. You already have a ton of stuff there. And the second part was, can't we borrow a lot from Liana there?
Probably, but I mean, what I thought would be nice if I set this up on a wallet, I would want to be proactively notified, like to
Yeah.
over Nostr, over email, over I don't know how, and I don't know how, except in the app itself. I mean, if you have it on a mobile phone and you don't delete the app, then maybe that would work on the device level. But yeah, you'd still have to somehow set up these reminders, and they would be. I say I want to be informed like a week before the time lock hits. Then the app would have to calculate how many blocks that is by more or less, and then just set a trigger somehow. But that's kind of already going pretty.
By the way, this is it's not the same, but you know how on iPhone you have a reminders app and you have a calendar app.
Mm-hmm.
Could like that? Let's this in email, and so you can add an ICS file, which is like an event invite. You click it, and it adds it to your calendar. I'm curious if something similar could be done, where yes, it would be nice to have a push notification, or it would like something that pays attention and informs you highly intelligently. But I mean, the most basic way could be that it just you click it and it adds it to your reminders, or you click it and it adds a calendar event with an alert that says, "Remind me 2 weeks before," or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not going to update really if, let's say, you keep spending and that recovery trigger gets pushed back. It's not going to update by itself. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe there is something that can be done.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, you have to um, at some point you have to download a backup anyway, so it could be part of that. I mean, at the end you get these calendar calendar events.
Mm.
That's nice. Hang on, I'll make a note here.
But it does feel like with Lightning and with a lot of this stuff, it is so important to have something that something somewhere that continuously runs and pays attention and lets you know, keeps you informed, and that always requires a server somewhere, and then that's where it gets really tricky for mainstream users.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agree. I also thought whether it would be somehow possible using watch only or watch towers, but
Mm.
I don't know how that will work. Yeah, so basically that's where I'm at. Where you would it doesn't matter whether you create a single sig or a multi-sig wallet. After kind of the initial setup, you would the app could tell you, hey, do you want to create a recovery path, and so that you don't have to decide upfront, but it's kind of more piecemeal because it's gonna if you have to decide upfront, there's so much things that you have to set up or to think about. It's probably better to let the users create their multi-sig wallet first and then ask them about these additional options. But it would have to be clear that you cannot do this later. You have to do it either you do it
Yeah.
now or you don't do it. Right. So that's something that has to transpire here.
Yeah, with long flows, it's always a good idea at the very beginning. Tell people what they're about to do, uh, and if it's optional or not or whatnot, so they don't go into it and then realize, oh, like it's happened probably so many times. You try to do something, then you're like, crap, I don't have this document right now, or so, and then you lose and then at the end summarize again what they just did.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one question I have with recovery path is, so recovery path is a generic term that could be anything. When we design specific products, it could be maybe we come up with presets or more specific flows. Like, for example, social recovery.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. It's just a recovery path where other people, your friends, have your keys, but it's
Yeah.
called social recovery. And when you enter that flow, the assumption is pretty clear that you're going to communicate with other people. You're going to ask them, here, create a key, please. They're going to do something. They'll send it to XPub and then all of this stuff. Well, if you have let's say a private recovery path, then it's just for you. You're going to do it by yourself. You can do it right away. Or if
Mm-hmm.
you have an inheritance recovery path, maybe that's where you get into, I don't know, something different. That's more. I don't know, something. So yeah, there could be. You could think of a generic flow, and maybe it's good to mock up all of them.
Yeah.
Generic flows, and then use case specific flows. That might be simpler and or more complex.
Yeah. So it's a bit windy here, so I hope it's not disturbing too much
In the
on the
forest.
microphone. Yeah. No, I mean I'm sitting outside, not in the forest, but I'm sitting outside. But yeah, I had um, I think it will help, and it could be kind of a middle, or once you decide that you want to create a recovery path or kind of a fail-safe mechanism, or I don't know how we would call it. It might be a good idea to have kind of a middle something here, where you could let the user set the context, like saying it's just for me, or it's um, for my family, or it's for something else. So just to kind of
Yeah, because
to help set the scene.
because the thing is, if you don't explain people what they can do with it, they have to come up with it on their own.
Yeah,
And they might not
true.
even think of friends or inheritance or other things. They're like, why would I use this? I don't get it. Or But if you have a very clear path that show the different scenarios, then maybe they start thinking about it and whatnot. And another trigger here could be the progressive security model that we've talked about, where let's say you only have 10 euros in your wallet, it's fine, single sig's fine. You get up to 1,000, it asks you, well, maybe you should do a multi-sig. First, then, and you do that or you don't. And then it goes up to 10,000 and you're like, okay, the application tells you, okay, 2 of 3 is pretty good, but just in case. Or you use your wallet for 50 years and the wallet realizes, wow, you must be pretty old by now. Maybe you want to set up inheritance. I don't know, but it just kind of contextually tries to give you a good recommendation.
Yeah, that's true, and I think that would also justify creating a new wallet, right? If you hit a certain threshold and you want to get a level up, you would have to basically create this new setup and move your funds over.
Yeah.
But that would be reasonable because the amount has increased in a way that, or the situation has changed in a way that justifies these kind of this. That's a good point.
Yeah, and I guess other stuff becomes more important, like regularly checking in on your keys to make sure that they're still available. I don't know. Bitcoin's already so complex, and I feel like this stuff is just, it's a lot that we're asking people to do here. That's not that we're asking them, but they should be doing for good security.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that.
Yeah, it's awesome. No, I mean, really, really good progress and everything. Yeah, I think after the send fees page and after the, what's it called? I don't know. Maybe I'll try to help out right away with the reference designs and not take on the what's it called? Purchasing Bitcoin in the app, because since you're working on this right now, there's no urgency with the purchasing Bitcoin in the app.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's a lot of things. We really have to scope it out, I think, or narrow down the scope probably in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, the thing that we always have to remember is a lot of the pages that we have in the guide, there are multiple versions in, and the first version was never that good. It was good sometimes when it was really good, it didn't change much, but most of them, they started as drafts, and then the first version was just kind of put out there, and then we improved it. So we don't have to get everything perfect right in the beginning. It's easy to iterate.
Right. Yeah. What I want to finish this how it works draft so that I can share it with the wider audience on Discord and see what feedback we get, and then probably from tomorrow onwards, see more where it would fit and really write out the use cases that we want to tackle.
Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, is there anything that you so you've been doing a lot of stuff already. Is there anything that you think I could help out very well with, where there's a gap or?
At the moment, not really, because what I would like to try is to write up, these the use cases myself and more, so that I get into the kind of a mode of fleshing stuff out on my own and get into the working mode of the design community rather than relying too much on other people. So I'd probably just write something up, and what would help is definitely these reviews, maybe a review call or things like this.
Yeah, I'm excited to get this stuff in, and I can't wait to see this work too. Have it in one, but I think it would take years.
It's pretty advanced stuff, and the hardware wallets are not ready for it, and the software wallets aren't, or most of them aren't. So that's going to take a while until things like these are widely adopted.
And I mean, it's if you really want to do this right, it's such a challenge. Even if you have, let's say, a 2 of 3 multi-sigs, that means you have 3 devices somewhere.
Yeah.
And for each device, you have a PIN or a password. And then for each of those keys, then you have the wallet configuration that you need to store somewhere. And then for each keys, you have a backup. That means you have 3 separate, and the backup should be offline, right? So it's like a piece of paper or metal or steel or something. Yeah. And then if you want to do an extra layer, then you separate the passphrase from the recovery phrase. And then that means you have 6 things in a total of 9 things that you have to deal with. And then you need to figure out where to store all that stuff. And not even speaking of the heavily armed clown with Arctica, where it's like 5 or 7. Then you have how many different things you need to? It's like 30.
That's very intense. I really want to hear his reasoning for taking this as the reference. But I mean, it can get infinitely complex, these setups.
Have you seen Glacier Protocol?
Yeah, I read about it last year, but I never really dove deep.
I mean, that was the ultimate intensity. So you have 2 different hardware sets, factory sealed computer with 2 hard drives, and then another one twice. And then you need 2 more USB drives, screwdrivers, electrical tape, 6-size dice, Faraday bag, table fan, a home safe, terraslate paper, cardboard envelopes, and tamper-resistant seals. I think that was the most intense one that I've seen, where it's €1,000 in hardware to get things set up.
Yeah, I think, here it's really going to be about finding some kind of sweet spot between easy enough security and convenient enough and secure enough. And it will depend on the threat model, which is going to be different for everybody. I mean, it's I mean, I don't know how I would get my okay, I can move stuff around jurisdictions.
Hold on, Yasha is just talking about stopping the recording. So let's stop the recording and we'll chat for a little bit. Thanks for anyone who's tuned in here, and then we'll go more into this stuff just on the side. So I'm gonna stop it here.